Luna stood at the floor-to-ceiling window, watching the thin, steady rain. Water snaked down the glass like the tear tracks that had still been wet on her face the day Adrian walked out. 3 months. She turned and looked at what had once been a house full of laughter. The couch was the same oatmeal-colored slip-covered sofa. The coffee table still held her favorite aroma lamp, and the walls still displayed their wedding portrait from the Maldives. Everything was exactly as it had been, and nothing was the same. No more scent of food drifted from the kitchen. On the balcony, only her clothes ever hung to dry. On the nightstand, there was now only one water glass. Adrian's presence was evaporating, erased the way his decisive back had disappeared through the door. Luna walked over and sat on the couch, her fingertips brushing the armrest. This had been Adrian's favorite spot. Every night he'd stretch out here with a book while she curled at the other end scrolling through her phone. They rarely talked. She'd assumed that was marriage, calm, steady, passion optional. Looking back, she'd been thick-skulled. Her mind snapped to that evening, their 3rd anniversary. She'd stayed late because a project blew up. When she finally got home, Adrian had cooked a full dinner. The candles had burned out, the wine untouched. Sorry, a last-minute crisis, she'd muttered, stepping out of her pumps, voice thin with fatigue and impatience. Adrian hadn't answered. He simply carried the cold dishes to the kitchen to reheat. She remembered complaining, "It's so late. Why bother? Let's just eat it cold." Now she wondered whether the look on his face had been hurt. At the time, she'd been too exhausted to notice. How had the fight started? Right, her phone. A teammate called to workshop the next day's pitch, and she talked forever. When she hung up, Adrian was still at the table, his plate untouched. "Could you show me some respect for once?" he'd snapped. First time he'd ever used that tone. "Tonight is our anniversary. I told you the project's on fire," she'd fired back. "Can't you cut me some slack? I kill myself for this family." "For this family?" He'd given a short, bitter laugh. "Luna, when did you last really look at this home? At me?" She'd frozen. Adrian had never spoken to her like that. He was always gentle, tolerant, a placid lake. "I know your job is brutal, so I never asked for much. You work late, I wait. You travel, I drive you. You get sick, I nurse you. But I'm human, Luna. I get tired." His voice had trembled. "Every night you're late, I'm terrified something happened. When you run a fever, I don't sleep. When you're upset, I rack my brain to cheer you up. And you, have you once asked what I'm working on? Did you even notice I had a fever last week?" Luna had opened her mouth. Nothing came out. She really hadn't known. She hadn't seen he was sick. "I'm done, Luna." He'd stood. "Let's get a divorce." The words clubbed her heart. She grabbed his hand. "Stop it. I'll do better, okay?" He'd slipped free. "I'm not throwing a tantrum. I love you, but I can't keep loving like this. I need a wife, not a princess I wait for forever." He'd walked into the bedroom and started packing. Luna stood there, suddenly terrified, watching his back. She wanted to plead, but didn't know how. Years of taking his devotion for granted had left her with no vocabulary for keeping him. When he rolled the suitcase out, she finally cried, "Don't go. I was wrong. I see it now." He paused, but didn't face her. "Luna, you still don't know what you're wrong about. And that's what breaks my heart." The click of the door felt like organs ripped from her body. She sank to the floor and sobbed like a child, certain he was only angry that he'd come home in a few days. He didn't. Day 1, she waited for his call. Day 2, she texted. Day 3, she phoned. He'd blocked her. A week later, the courier dropped off a manila envelope. Divorce papers. Hands shaking, she flipped to the last page and saw his tidy signature, neat as the man himself. Always precise. Only then did it hit her, Adrian meant it. He truly did not want her anymore. The next stretch blurred. She took leave and barricaded herself inside, sorting what he'd left behind. She hunted for proof he'd return. In the bottom drawer of the study, she found a metal box. Receipts and sticky notes. Perfectly arranged. Prescriptions from when she'd been ill, boarding passes from her trips. Doodles she'd left on the counter, each slipped into a plastic sleeve and dated. Underneath lay a journal. Page 1 drenched her in tears. "Today, Luna worked late again. I made her favorite braised short ribs. They were cold by the time she ate, but she still devoured them. Watching her gulp it down, I'd wait forever." Luna's mood tanked. Project trouble. "I secretly called her teammate. Got the details. Tomorrow I'll ring a few contacts and see if I can help." Luna's burning up. 103 degrees Fahrenheit. "I took off work. Sleeping." She kicks off the covers. "I watch so she doesn't chill." 2nd anniversary. She forgot. Again. "Doesn't matter. I remember. Her workload's insane." "I understand." Luna said, "My coffee tasted perfect this morning." Truth. I practiced 30 cups over the weekend so she'd start her day happy. I think I'm running a fever, but Luna's got her big pitch. Don't distract her. I'll hit urgent care after she leaves. The ink swam. She crushed the journal to her chest and wept until hiccups racked her. Now she understood. She treated his devotion as oxygen, always there. Never noticed. She speed-dialed more. A sigh traveled down the line. Luna. Adrian left the country. When? Last week. He requested a transfer to the overseas office. Did he say when he's coming back? Honey, Moore said gently, he told me he wants a fresh start. The call ended. Luna folded to the floor. Outside, the rain kept falling, twin to her tears. She finally understood that some people, some love, once missed, never circle back. She rose and faced the mirror. Her eyes were slits of red, skin chalky, none of the glow Adrian used to admire when he told her she was the most beautiful woman alive. Sorry, she whispered to the reflection. I'm sorry, Adrian. She began putting the house in order. She boxed his belongings, but couldn't toss them. She set the journal on her nightstand and read one page each night. She inked every birthday, anniversary, and deadline onto the calendar the way he used to. She tried cooking, mostly disasters. She brewed pot after pot of coffee, none tasting like his. She started asking friends about their days, volunteering, learning to give and to cherish. 3 months had passed, and Luna was finally learning how to live on her own. She threw herself back into work, but never again at the frantic pace she once kept. She started showing up at friends' game nights, signed up for a Saturday pottery class, swapped takeout for Sunday farmers market runs. The edginess melted out of her voice. A quiet steadiness took its place. Still, when the city went quiet at 2 a.m., Adrian slipped into her thoughts uninvited, his soft grin, the way he used to leave a fresh mug of coffee on her nightstand, the straight line of his shoulders as he'd walked away for the last time. She knew the ache was exactly what she deserved. She'd frozen him out with a selfishness so casual it still horrified her. Now the only place she could reach him was memory, and every replay tasted bitter with regret. Luna moved to the window, forehead against the cool glass, rain streaking the lights of new. Adrian, she whispered, I'm different. I swear I'm different. If you could see me tonight, would you forgive me? The rain kept drumming. No answer. No absolution. Some mistakes. She understood. Are invoiced for life. All she could do was carry the guilt and live better. Truer. Maybe, when they'd both become people worth loving again, fate would hand them a second curtain call. Until then, she would wait. Autumn anew arrived like a slap, sudden, sharp, impossible to ignore. Luna stood at her loft window, watching maple leaves cartwheel onto the street 3 floors below. 3 months in the city now, and she'd found a rhythm she hadn't known she possessed. Work still hectic, but punctuated by little mercies. Playlists, yoga stretches between Zoom calls, the smell of real coffee. She ground herself. Today she'd taken the whole day off. She'd belted the oatmeal trench Adrian once said made her look like an old movie star, swept eyeliner across each lid until the girl in the mirror looked centered, curious, kind, anything but the screaming deadline junkie she used to be. Her destination was central. She went every weekend. Adrian had told her that October there felt like walking through a living Rothko. The paths were half empty. She strolled, boot heels muffled by a carpet of gold, ginkgo leaves shedding their summer like coins tossed from a magician's sleeve. He used to jog here, he'd told her, always counterclockwise, chasing the reservoir's outline until the city stopped feeling noisy. She rounded a bend and froze. 50 feet away, a man knelt, gathering something from the ground. Gray sweater, charcoal jeans, posture still soldier straight but thinner. The tilt of his head, the way his hair curled above the collar, her pulse stuttered. Adrian. Every imagined reunion imploded. She hovered, half convinced her brain had stitched him together from longing and leaf shadow. He stood, turned, their eyes locked. The park went silent. He looked older, not in years, but in miles, fine lines fanning from eyes that had seen too many hospital corridors. Surprise flickered, then retreated behind professional calm. Long time, he said, voice soft, polite, a stranger's. Long time, she echoed. His gaze dropped to the leaf in his hand. Ginkgo, heart-shaped bite missing from one edge. I thought it looked interesting, he said, almost apologetic. She closed the gap. It's beautiful. He slid it between the pages of a small black notebook. She recognized the birthday moleskine she'd given him years ago, back when they still wrapped gifts in sarcasm and kisses. They both began, then stopped. Go ahead, he said, smile uneven. How are you? Her voice shook anyway. Not bad. Work's insane, but it's good busy. You? Good. She inhaled. They moved me to headquarters. His brows lifted. Congrats. You always wanted that. Yeah, she said to the ground, just didn't expect the scenic route. Leaves scraped across asphalt between them. Walk a bit, he asked. Tentative. She brightened before she could stop herself. Sure. They wandered side by side, careful inches apart. She caught the citrus peel note of his cologne, same bottle that used to live on their shared bathroom shelf. You're different, he said suddenly. Different how? Calmer, he answered, eyes forward. Used to be like a hummingbird on espresso. Now you're steady. Growth spurt, she murmured. I learned a few tricks. Passable pour over. How to keep a plant alive. How to text people back before they file a missing person report. A small laugh escaped him. The sound cracked her heart open. They stopped at a bench overlooking the lake. Skulls glided like slender insects. Adrian, she said, I owe you an apology. I was selfish and cold and, it's history. He cut in gently. We keep moving, right? Her throat burned. Right. Chat softened. Books they'd read, new cafes, the insane cost of new detergent. They danced wide circles around anything that smelled like memory. Sunlight thinned. He checked his watch. I should head out. Me too. She stood. Thanks for walking. He hesitated. Dinner sometime? She grinned. Quick and involuntary. I'd love that. The restaurant was a narrow brick room smelling of roasted garlic and burnt butter. He ordered her favorite pappardelle. No onions. Extra basil. Before the menus landed. Muscle memory, he shrugged. Embarrassed. Halfway through tiramisu. He pinched the bridge of his nose. Headache? She asked. Occupational hazard, he said. Deadlines. I picked up some acupressure, she offered. Want me to try? He blinked, then angled his chair. She pressed thumbs to his temples, following the small circles he once taught her. His shoulders loosened under her palms. That's magic, he mumbled. Tears pricked her eyes. She swiped them away before he could see. Back at her side of the table, she whispered, I know I can't rewrite anything, but I've changed. If you ever feel like grabbing coffee, as friends, I'd be so grateful. He studied her. Something complicated surfacing. Luna. His phone buzzed. He glanced. Frowned. I'm sorry. Emergency consult. He tossed bills on the table. Stood. Rain check? Absolutely, she said, meaning it. Outside. Wind whipped avenues into tunnels of paper and light. She watched him jog toward the subway, coat flapping, and felt hollowed out, but lighter too. He'd answered her calls now. He'd laughed. Doors she'd assumed welded shut were, maybe, cracked open. Luna leaned against a lamp post. Let the city's soundtrack surge around her. For the first time since the divorce papers hit the desk, she believed a next chapter might exist, and she might actually get to write herself into it. The following Saturday, Luna stood outside Adrian's apartment building. Grocery bags hooked over both arms, braised short ribs, baby carrots, everything she needed to recreate the dish he swore could cure flu, heartbreak, and seasonal affective disorder all at once. She'd texted. He'd answered, casual as Tuesday. No declarations. Just, sure. Come by. I'll be home. She pressed the buzzer, heart hammering Morse code against her ribs. The lock clicked. She stepped into the warm foyer, rehearsing a smile that tried to look like friendship and nothing extra. She pressed the bell, but no one answered. Luna felt a flutter of worry. Adrian had said he would be home resting today. She tried the handle, unlocked. Adrian? She pushed the door in and called softly. The living room was empty. On the coffee table lay scattered papers and prescription bottles. Luna stepped closer, her heart suddenly racing. They were medical charts and CT reports. Her hands shook as she lifted the top sheet. The moment she saw the word tumor, her world seemed to collapse in on itself. What are you doing? Adrian's voice came from behind. Luna turned. He stood in the bedroom doorway, pale, a bottle of painkillers in his hand. Adrian. Her voice cracked. Why didn't you tell me? He walked over and reached for the report. It's no big deal. Benign. They'll cut it out and I'll be fine. Then why the painkillers? Luna pointed at the bottles. Why the follow-ups? Why? She couldn't finish. Tears spilled over. Adrian sighed and sat on the couch. Luna, this is my problem. You don't have to. No. She cut him off. This isn't just your problem. Adrian, let me take care of you. Please. A flicker of hesitation crossed his eyes. You don't owe me anything. I know we signed the divorce papers. Luna knelt in front of him, but at least let me stay as a friend. Please. He was silent for a long moment, then finally nodded. From that day on, Luna moved into Adrian's apartment. She quit her headquarters job and found a relaxed remote position so she could be there for him. She learned to cook nutrient-packed meals, rotating recipes so he wouldn't tire of anything. She went with him to every checkup, jotting down every instruction. She learned how to give injections when the treatment required them. At night she sat beside his bed, watching his face in the dim light. When pain drew his brows together, she massaged his temples until the lines eased. Adrian's temper shortened. He flared up over trifles. Luna never snapped back, only soothed him gently. Why are you doing this? He asked one afternoon. You could be living better. Luna looked up from the apple she was paring. Because I love you. He froze. I know the old me didn't earn the right to say that, she went on, but I mean it now. I don't want anything, Adrian, just to stay, to care, to back you up. He turned away so she wouldn't see his tears. When surgery day arrived, Luna waited outside the OR for 8 straight hours. When the surgeon finally said it had gone well, she broke down and cried like a child. Recovery was slow. Luna read him the paper every morning, walked him through rehab exercises, cheered him on when he tried to stand. You know what? Adrian said one afternoon. I barely recognize you. Luna smiled. Good change or bad? Good, he answered, squeezing her hand. So good I feel I don't deserve you anymore. She shook her head. I'm the one who doesn't deserve you. Thank you for letting me prove I can be better. He looked at her, softness flooding his eyes. Luna, maybe we could. Shh. She pressed a finger to his lips. Say it when you're fully well. Right now. Rest. He closed his eyes. She hummed a lullaby until his breathing leveled. Moonlight spilled through the window, bathing them both. Luna knew she had finally learned how love was supposed to feel. 3 months post-op. Adrian's progress hit a wall. The muscle wasting is worse than expected, the rehab doctor said, frowning at the chart. We need to increase intensity. But his overall condition, Luna tightened her grip on Adrian's hand. We can do it, right? He managed a smile, yet she felt the tremor in his fingers. Back home, anger exploded out of him for the first time. Enough. He shoved the pills Luna offered. I don't need your pity. Go live your life and leave me. She picked the tablets off the rug. It isn't pity. It's love. Love? He gave a harsh laugh. Looking at me like this. You can still call it love. I can't even get to the bathroom alone. He stopped because Luna had wrapped her arms around him. Adrian, she whispered. Remember when I was sick and you took care of me? I was irritable. Said you nagged. Now I understand. It was because you cared. His body slowly relaxed. Let me do for you what you once did for me, she said, looking up. Not pity, gratitude, love. From then on, Adrian attacked rehab with resolve. Luna accompanied every session, muscles aching yet never complaining. She mastered professional massage, easing his cramps each night. She scoured journals for nutrition plans, even enrolled in a caregiving course to learn more. But the illness wasn't finished with them. One midnight Adrian burned with fever, consciousness slipping before Luna found him. Adrian, she shook him, getting no response. Sirens tore through the darkness as the ambulance raced to Central. She held his hand, repeating silent prayers. Intracranial pressures spiking. He needs emergency surgery. The doctor said. Luna huddled on the waiting room bench for 6 hours. She remembered all the nights he had kept vigil for her. Now it was her turn. The surgeon emerged. It went well, but recovery will be longer, and there may be deficits. As long as he's alive, nothing else matters, she answered. When Adrian woke, Luna's exhausted face was the first thing he saw. You, he rasped. No talking? She murmured, brushing his lips with her fingertips. Rest. A tear slid from the corner of his eye. Therapy proved harder than before. Words tangled on his tongue. His right hand faltered. Unable to grip a spoon, Luna stayed patient. She coaxed him through syllables. Celebrated when he named objects correctly. She fed him, bathed him, danced him through rehab hour after hour. One day he managed. Luna, why, still here? She looked up from flexing his fingers. Because I love you. But, I'm broken, he forced out. She smiled. To me you're whole. Love isn't about perfection. It's about loving even when life chips pieces away. Tears streamed down his cheeks. She dried them and kissed his brow. We fight together. Okay, she whispered. However long it takes. I'm staying. He squeezed her hand. Adrian's rehab entered a new phase. Amazing, the speech therapist burst out. Adrian, you just produced a full, grammatically correct sentence. Adrian looked at Luna, his eyes sparkling. Luna smiled back, but her smile carried an extra shade of reflection. That night, while kneading the knots out of Adrian's shoulders, Luna said, Adrian, I've been thinking. What idea? Adrian worked hard to shape the words. I want to open a rehab center, Luna said, for people like you. We've lived it. We know exactly what they need. Adrian's eyes lit up. Great idea, Luna went on. We'll give them top-tier physical rehab plus counseling. A lot of patients sink into depression, and nobody understands that better than we do. Adrian squeezed her hand. I'll help. And just like that, the blueprint for new rehab center began to take shape. Luna handled the big picture planning and daily operations. Adrian poured his own battle scars into designing the programs. On opening day, the room was packed with reporters. Luna stepped up to the microphone, scanned the sea of faces, and drew a steady breath. A year ago, she began. began, my ex-husband was diagnosed with a brain tumor. We'd only just found each other again. People kept asking why I would ditch a six-figure salary to take care of a man I'd already divorced. She glanced at Adrian in his wheelchair, her gaze softening. The answer is love and gratitude. When we were at our lowest, strangers showed up for us. Now it's our turn to pass that love forward. Adrian accepted the mic. His speech was still labored, but every syllable rang clear. Being sick isn't scary. Giving up, that's scary. Here, we hand you hope. The first patients checked in soon after. Luna and Adrian ran themselves ragged, but watching small victories pile up made every minute worth it. One young woman, paralyzed from the waist down after a car crash, cried all day. Luna visited her room every afternoon and told her Adrian's story. Look, Luna said one day, pointing to Adrian grinding through leg presses. A few months ago, he couldn't string two words together. Now he talks and even helps me run this place. Life flickered back into the girl's eyes. Adrian ran the men's support circle, sharing his own playbook. He told them, illness isn't the final whistle. It's the kickoff for a new game. Word spread. Referrals snowballed. They rented the floor above, then the one above that. One evening Luna was alphabetizing charts when Adrian wheeled over. Luna, he said softly. Thank you. She lifted her head. For what? For never quitting on me. He laced his fingers through hers. For helping me find why I'm still here. Tears glossed her eyes. And thank you for teaching me love isn't about taking. It's about giving. Adrian fished a tiny velvet box from his pocket. Luna, will you marry me again? She froze. He cracked the lid, revealing a modest solitaire. This time, let me love you, he whispered. Let me spend my leftover days making it up to you. Luna's tears broke loose. She nodded and fell into his arms. Adrian, your recovery is nothing short of miraculous. Smith from Johns Hopkins flipped excitedly through Adrian's chart while Luna beamed beside them. It was their third invitation to the renowned hospital. Adrian's case had become a medical celebrity. Specialists everywhere wanted to decode his rebound. We'd like you in a longitudinal study, Smith said, on personalized rehab protocols for brain tumor survivors. Adrian and Luna locked eyes, identical sparks. We're in, Luna answered, on one condition. Name it. The research happens at our center, she said. We want every discovery to help our patients the very next day. Smith grinned. Perfect. Bench science meets bedside in real time. So New became Johns Hopkins' first overseas collaboration site. Luna coordinated budgets, schedules, and red tape. Adrian served as star subject and co-designer. Progress was bumpy. Classic protocols flopped for patient after patient, forcing constant tweaks. Then one afternoon Adrian mused. Maybe we focus on the mind. Luna's eyes widened. You mean weave psychotherapy into physical therapy? He nodded. That's how I healed. The team dubbed the hybrid approach the mind-body sync method. It trained bodies while rebuilding spirits. The first guinea pig was Jake, a 12-year-old who hadn't spoken since his tumor resection. Luna visited his room daily, recounting Adrian's climb. Adrian sat with him hour after hour, coaxing one word at a time. 3 months later Jake chatted with classmates on the playground. His parents wept, you gave our boy a second life. The data hit a top-tier journal and detonated across the field. Institutions worldwide booked flights to learn the method. We want to help every Adrian and Jake out there, Luna told the inaugural class of trainees. Every life deserves dignity. Every patient deserves the best we've got. Adrian added, illness isn't the end. It's a new beginning. Classes sold out. Thank you letters poured in from 6 continents. One afternoon Luna was sorting mail when Adrian rolled up. Close your eyes, he murmured. She obeyed. Something cool slipped around her neck. Okay, look. A necklace hung there. 2 tiny silver figures leaning on each other. Our logo, he said. Symbol of new. Luna fingered the pendant, seeing in her mind the parade of patients who'd walked back into life. Adrian, she whispered. We really did it. He took her hand. And we're just getting started. Outside, sunset spilled gold across the floor. They knew the road ahead was long, but as long as they walked it together, no obstacle stood a chance.